wish to use cash. For example, I have in front of me, you're absolutely right, a good old £50 note. I owe you £50.
Yeah.
I pay you. You go to the hairdresser. You pay your £50. The hairdresser goes to the cafe, pays the coffee shop owner £50. The cafe owner goes to the restaurant, £50. The restaurant pays for the linen cleaning, £50. The value of the £50 remains £50. If, however, I pay you with a credit card straight away, I'm devaluing that £50 because I am paying 3% on average interest to a bank or a society that's giving me that card, which is the equivalent of £1.50. You then follow that through, and everywhere you go, the hairdresser, the coffee shop, the restaurant, if you're paying with a card, you're losing 1.5% or £1.50 every time. So after 30 transactions with cash, you've still got £50 in value. If you used your credit card, the value is now £5 because you've paid the bank £45 in fees. And that's why the banks want to encourage you to go cashless. Don't allow it to happen.
One thing that you can do with a harp on a convenient mountaintop is this. One thing that you can do with a harp on a convenient mountaintop is this. The Aeolian harp effect.
This refrigerator doesn't use electricity. This unique eco-friendly refrigerator is made from 2 clay pots filled with sand and water. The water evaporates through the pot's pores, cooling the items inside. This 100% eco-friendly cooler can reach below -8 degrees without electricity. The unique design allows for a more sustainable and efficient way to store and transport items. Could you see yourself using this for your groceries? Tell me how.
Salmon are now swimming up the river, crossing villages and forests. This system helps fish to pass over the dams and other artificial structures. Before, someone had to put each fish in the tube. But now the salmon can enter by themselves. One time inside, fish are literally sucked into one pipe and propelled at more than 35 km/h upstream. The system also detects invasive species, thanks to one recognition system, video that helps sort fish, thus preventing unwanted species from using the tube. Inside the tube, mist makes the air breathable and minimizes fish stress. In one salmon cannon, fish travel in one flexible tube. Thanks to the pressure difference created by gravity and the suction effect, 5 fish can travel simultaneously inside the pipe, and about 57,000 fish can be transported per day.
We don't know what the fuck sleeping is anyway. I mean, what is sleeping? You shut your eyes, you shut off, you don't exist in this plane, and your consciousness goes somewhere else. Like, literally, you have no memory of a giant chunk of your day, and we have no problem with it, and yet we don't connect it to any other realm or the idea of there being other dimensions. You go into another dimension when you go to sleep, okay? You do. You just shut off. You stop. And for all intents and purposes, you are in another dimension. And if while you're in that other dimension, your brain is being pumped with this psychedelic chemical that when you take it when you're sober makes you have these incredible experiences, it just seems like a normal thing to look into. Like, people should be looking into that. Like, what is happening when you're sleeping? You go away. Yeah. And everybody's just so used to it. They're like, no big deal. We just go away. Just go away for 8 hours a day. You know, everybody's scared to die, and no one's scared to fall asleep. You're shutting off, man. You know you're going to be back, so you're not worried. But you're shutting off. Whatever that is, is just accepted. If sleeping didn't exist, it would be the craziest fucking thing. If all of a sudden you told people that they had to shut off for 8 hours a night and just completely not be aware, they'd be like, what are you talking about? I gotta shut off.
They found pots of honey in Egyptian temples.
Yeah,
And then
I have
break it
heard that,
open.
yeah.
Still 100% good.
Really?
Yeah. So honey, it cannot, microbes, bacteria, nothing can form in it. Well, what they've recently figured out is it's essentially sound frequency that creates the honey that the bee's wings. So when a bee goes and pulls the pollen out of a flower and it goes into his hive, the flapping of all those wings together creates, so the sound actually creates that hexagonal shape, those little hexagon, the honeycomb looking
So the
things.
frequency coming off of their wings is essentially creating that snowflake
creating
effect.
that effect.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, as they're vomiting up the honey essentially into those combs, as the frequency, it purifies it in a way and preserves it to where it cannot be touched, dude.
Wow.
It's the most purest, and it can give all kinds of nutrients, good bacteria. Fungus can't touch it. Nothing can touch it.
What happened to the charm of everyday spaces? Elevators used to feel like elegant little lounges, not like this. Pharmacies that once had charm and warmth now feel like sterile clinics. Banks that used to look like grand palaces have been stripped down to soulless boxes. Even cars once had personality. Everything feels efficient now, but at what cost? We've lost the soul of design. It's time to bring back the art and architecture, design, and even the smallest details. Let's reclaim beauty in everyday spaces. After all, when our surroundings inspire us, life itself feels more meaningful.
These amazing videos are from the brand Human Touch, and they show perfectly just how human our clothes are. The brand hosts live sewing performances in store where makers put dyes and paints on their hands as they're making the garments, which ends up being all over each and every piece. And this shows perfectly just how human made our clothes are. With the rise of fast fashion, we've been completely detached from how our clothes are made and who makes them, but the Berlin-based brand depicts perfectly all the labor and sewing, maneuvering, and all the techniques that go into every single piece of our clothes. And I think the finished item looks amazing. Let me know what you think.